Howdy everyone, it's Sam. Welcome back to Wobble Enjoy Sports. If you're new around here, hope I can get you to consider to like the content and subscribe to the channel. But if you are a regular around these here parts, thank you very much for the continuous support. Let's get stuck in round 18. Round 18 starts on Thursday night from Combank Stadium. The Eels host South Sydney. Rabbitohs are $1.67, Eels are $2.21, and the team lists is as follows. Jake Tungo, I believe that's how you pronounce his last name, he will make his debut on the wing, replacing Micah Sevo. Into the forwards for the Eels now, Sean Lane will be starting at lock. Madison and Cartwright are the second rowers, and Charlie Goymer is making his debut as well in jersey 17 off the bench. For South Sydney, Latrell Mitchell is back into the fold. Milne and Kenner are the centres for South Sydney, and Jacob Gagai is also on the wing as well this weekend. Davey Mawali, Sean Kepi are the starting front rowers. Murray, Arrow and Koloamatangi is the back row. The interchange reads Mamazulis, Duncan, Burgess and Cheekham. And South Sydney are the ones that are coming into the game with form, but are Parramatta due another victory here? They were very competitive in a very quality game of footy against the Newcastle Knights last weekend, but just fell short. I wouldn't be surprised if the money comes in a little bit more for the Parramatta Eels as well, but the smart money is to take South Sydney, and I will do so. I'm going to take South Sydney to win this game 1-12. Friday night football, and game number 1 is from Coffs Harbour, C.X International Sports Stadium. Cronulla Sutherland Sharks versus the Gold Coast Titans. On Sportsbet, Sharks are $1.37, Titans are $3.10, and in my opinion, there's going to be a bit of value here to find for the Gold Coast Titans. The Cronulla Sharks, they seem to be, other than Sione Katoa, who is out with concussion, they are unchanged. Coming in for Katoa is Atkinson, and then there is a fair few changes here for the Gold Coast Titans. So Philip Sami and Brian Kelly are the centres. Jojo Fafita returns onto the wing. AJ Brimson returns for the Gold Coast Titans, and he is at the 5/8 position. Keanu Kinney remains at fullback. And then for the forward pack, that's largely unchanged, with Fodawaker and Clark as the starting front rowers. And then the interchange reads Liu Pahulu, Palacia, and Joe Stimson. This is a mighty danger game for the Cronulla Sharks. They went down in a high-quality affair against the Bulldogs. It was just their slow start to the game that cost them, and it's what's been kicking them in the arse over the past month or so. Whereas the Gold Coast Titans, man, there's a hard edge to them, but they're still a young team and they're still developing under Des Hasler, so it's going to come in spits and spurts, it's going to come in waves, but they're coming off their all-time victory a fortnight ago. They're coming off a bye as well now, and they only got a short trip down to Coffs Harbour to take on the Sharks. And this game is not a rivalry. But I feel like in history, the Sharks and Titans have played some spiteful contests. Maybe not so in recent seasons, but definitely in the first 10 years or so, there were some very, very spiteful, close, competitive contests between the Sharks and the Titans. So I am anticipating Gold Coast to be really competitive in this game. I am not going to say Sharks 13 plus. I'll say 1-12. Yeah, this is a very, very interesting game for the Sharkies this Friday night, but I'll tip them anyway. Sharks 1-12. The main event on Friday night football, and the main event of the entire weekend, in my opinion, the game of the round, the second part to the grand final rematch. Brisbane Broncos versus the Penrith Panthers. And Penrith, they are $1.57. Brisbane, $2.41. Both teams have their origin stars back in. However, for the Brisbane Broncos, Katoni Staggs is on the reserve list due to, I think it's an injury or due to personal reasons, meaning Corey Oates has been named on the wing and Selwyn Cobbo and Dean Mariner will be the starting centre pairing, along with Jock Madden being the starting halfback again for the Brisbane Broncos. Kobe Hetherington starts in the second row, again for Jordan Ricky, who is still out suspended, and Josiah Karapani is on the interchange. And meanwhile, for the Penrith Panthers, it's simply all the stars back in, and the likes of a Brad Schneider is out, which means Jack Cole will be the 5/8 this weekend, and the interchange reads Laurie, Smith, Henry and Eisenhuth. Brisbane are on a 4-game losing streak. Penrith went down to North Queensland this past Sunday out at Bluebet. I think if Penrith won that game, they might have been in a little bit more of a relaxed mindset coming into this Friday night's blockbuster. But now that they have copped that loss and the stars of Origin are back, and keep in mind too that New South Wales won game 2, so the likes of Edwards and To'o, Jerome Luai, they're coming in with some momentum and some confidence, whereas Walsh and Carrigan are not. I'm going to give the edge to the Penrith Panthers here just. Reece Walsh again will be a critical watch because he just, I don't know, it's not that he hasn't put in for Broncos, it's that Broncos just haven't gotten the best out of him due to concussions and injuries that are just out of Reece Walsh's control. So they are desperate for a win. They're desperate for Walsh to come back and provide some huge amounts of spark. And I do think this will be close. This will be a smash mouth, very, very intense affair. I'm going to the game. I'm really looking forward to it. And we were very, very close to seeing Nathan Cleary return, but that now seems to be round number 20. I'm going to go the Penrith Panthers to win this game 1-12. Super Saturday sees 3 games, and match number 1 emanates from a core stadium, Bulldogs versus Warriors. Dogs are $1.49, the Warriors are $2.63, and going into the team list for both sides, Connor Tracy returns to fullback after suffering a concussion a couple of weeks ago, and Kurt Mann is also back, and he is on the interchange in jersey number 14. Going into the team list for the New Zealand Warriors now, it looks like that they are unchanged, the New Zealand Warriors, after picking up a victory against the Brisbane Broncos this past weekend. This is a critical match. This is a huge match for the Warriors, but equally as important for Dogs. Dogs sitting in 5th, the New Zealand Warriors sitting at approximately 12th or thereabouts. If they win, they'll be sitting at about 9th or thereabouts, one win outside of the 8th. So this is, it's a little finals preview basically. It's so much more important for the Wars, and there's a piece of me that thinks, well, the Warriors went to a core earlier this year, they beat South Sydney, so they got that monkey off the back where they hadn't won at a core in a number of years. But it's a different kettle of fish against this Bulldog side, isn't it? That they have not been spectacular in attack over the past fortnight, but they are the second best defensive side in the competition, and the Warriors at times, they start fast and then they fade, and defensively is where I fear for them. I'm going to go the Dogs here. It's going to be a great game. I'm going to go the Bulldogs here, 1-12. Match number 2 on Saturday is from Leichhardt Oval. West Tigers host the Melbourne Storm. Melbourne $1.24, Tigers $4.10. Into the team list for the West Tigers first, and Brent Naden is out. Luke Lavalili remains. Charlie Staines takes over for Brent Naden this weekend. Justin Olam is still fighting to get back into the team, but such is Adam Dewey's form. And Coruscant and Dewey also didn't get suspended, even though they were sent to the sin bin this past Sunday. Going into the team for the Melbourne Storm, Pappenhausen has been named at fullback. Jack Howarth remains on the in the centres, and Kane Bradley starts on the wing for Xavier Coates, who the poor bugger is out for a handful of weeks, unfortunately. The forward pack, Kamikamitha and King start, and the interchange, Fa'alongo, Welch, Asafa Solomona, and Joe Chan. With all due respect, while the Tigers do get a leg up at Leichhardt, and I don't think they've lost a game at Leichhardt this year so far, I think they fall to the hands of the Melbourne Storm this weekend. Melbourne Storm to win this game 13 plus, but not a big 13 plus, sort of like a 26-12 scoreline, I reckon. In a round where there are so many important games, this is also one of them. This is a very, very critical game for both of these sides. North Queensland host Manly up at QCB Stadium. North Queensland are coming into the game $1.73 favourites. Manly are $2.12. I imagine that could come in a little bit more before kickoff this weekend. For the team list now, all the Origin stars are back for the North Queensland Cowboys. The interchange for them reads McIntyre, Edwards, Finafuiaki and Griffin Neame. The likes of Jake Granville and Thomas McKaylee are out. Also, Jackson Purdue is also out for North Queensland. And then Manly, Kohler is at fullback, Saab and Talau are the wingers. And then the centres, both returning this weekend after injuries, Tom Trbojevic and Ruben Garrick. Of course, Turbo returns this weekend, just like Nathan Cleary returned against us earlier this year for Panthers, eh? Fair dinkum. Then the forward pack, Sipley, Aloye, and the back row, Olakawatu, Trbojevic brothers round out the back row, with Jake Simpkin being the hooker. And the interchange, the deputising fullback, Lehigh Hopewati, keeps his spot in jersey 14. Lawton is at 15, and he's coming up to North Queensland next year. And Ethan Bullymore and Nathan Brown rounds out the interchange. Nathan Brown is a kamikaze, I know. Ethan Bullymore is a very, very good workhorse, but it does seem like that the Cowboys are working with the bigger forward pack at the moment, and that 1 to 7 for both of these sides is very much even, in my opinion. DCE, however, he's just, like fine wine this year, just doing really, really good things. Obviously, I'm going to tip North Queensland, but let me just say, they went down to Roosters without their Origin stars. They then got pumped by the Warriors in Townsville the week later with their Origin stars back. They just went down to Penrith without their Origin stars. Now they're hosting Manly in Townsville with Manly's Origin stars back into the fold. These Origin stars have got the microscope, they've got the spotlight, they've got the Bunsen burner underneath them this Saturday night by the entire NRL universe, man. Let's see how they go, but come on, you Cowboys. Huge win. 7th versus 11th at the moment, so go Cowboys, 1 to 12. Now into Sunday, we've got 2 matches, and match number 1 is from Allianz Stadium, Easts versus St. George Illawarra. Roosters are $1.24, the Dragons are $4.10. In recent seasons, the Dragons have nipped a couple of victories or have gotten really bloody close against the Roosters. $4.10 is huge value on the Dragons, man. Going into the team list for both of these sides, and Joey Manu is unfortunately out for the next month with a fractured hand. Therefore, coming in for him is Michael Jennings. Satili Tupanua has also been named in the centres as well. For the forward pack, arguably the informed forward pack of the competition, that remains unchanged. The interchange is White, May, Butcher and Spencer Leniu. That is such a high-octane forward pack for the Roosters. And then, meanwhile, for the St. George Illawarra Dragons, Matt Feagai, I believe, got injured with concussion last weekend, so he is out. Zach Lomax is back after being rested for Origin or from Origin. So the back line is Lomax, Sawley, Max Feagai and Christian Tuipulotu. The forward pack is relatively unchanged with Tom Eisenhuth starting at lock. And then the interchange reads Lowry, Murdoch-Masila, Couchman, and Leilua. Jack Bird has also been named on the reserves list. St. George Illawarra is sitting in 8th position, and I am surprised by how well they are going this year, or how high they are up on the ladder. I didn't have them as wooden spooners, but credit to them. But against this Roosters outfit, I am going to tip them. But I'm going to say East's 1-12 Dragons could give them a bit of curry this weekend. And the match to finish round 18, a round that has so many important games, with this one being another one, the Raiders versus the Knights. It is the second part to their famous semi-final or elimination final match last year, and then Raiders upset the Knights in Newcastle in round 1 earlier this year. So there is a bit of pepper in this game for sure this weekend. On Sportsbet, the Knights are $1.64 favourites. Raiders are $2.26. Going into the team list for the Raiders now, we've got Weeks, Rapana, Timoko, Hopewadi, and Savage as the 1-5, and Strange and Cook remains as the halves pairing. The forward pack is unchanged, and the only change is Simi Sasangi comes in for Jordan Martin, who got concussed in his debut last weekend, unfortunately. And for the Newcastle Knights, Kalen Ponga has been named at fullback. Fletcher Sharp keeps his spot in the 1-17 in jersey number 14, but Phoenix Crossland is out with an injury. Jaden Brayley starts in jersey number 9, and Dylan Lucas also comes back into the fold as well for the Knights, and so too does Leo Thompson, actually. So too does Liam Thompson. Newcastle Knights have some enormous ins, because coming into the game, I was thinking I was going to tip the Canberra Raiders in this game. But because Ponga, Thompson, and Dylan Lucas is back, factoring in also that this will be Tyson Frizzell's 250th. Newcastle Knights also went to Canberra last year and really put a number on them. I think the Knights get a little bit of vengeance from round 1 this year, and I think the Knights are going to get the Raiders 1-12, unfortunately, for Raiders fans. Hey everyone, thanks for your patience. Sorry this was a little late, but such is life and such is work. So thank you again for your patience. Thank you for all your support. Have a very nice weekend. Hope your team wins, except for Manly. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you. Take care. Adios.